Obviously, I have no limit when I get angry, and like obviously he said that
It's
I
a
need
British
help with that,
person.
because people are generally
At the end of the day, it's not really funny, is it?
saying to me,
Sorry.
one of you are gonna end up dead, like, and I fully believe that I'm quite capable of killing him, or I'm gonna end up being in prison.
Damn. She looks sad that she got arrested, huh?
These are the disturbing words spoken
Holy moly! Damn!
by an OnlyFans model just several weeks before she murdered her boyfriend. There were many warning signs given to those
Man, she killed him. Oops. Yo.
living around the couple.
Dude,
And
cool.
although some measures were put in
Yeah, tattoos too. Damn.
place, not enough was done to quash her terrible behavior. But who
Crying.
exactly is Abigail White? What were the triggers behind
A bitch. I'm crying. Listen, I'm not gonna be distracted by her boobs. She's a murderer. She's a murderer.
her actions?
Bobs.
And how did it all end for the murderous mother of 4? Welcome or welcome back to Coffee House Crime, folks.
Get 4
My name
kids?
is Adrian, and today we're looking at the case of
What's up,
Bradley Lewis
Adrian?
and Abigail White.
Looking fruity.
With Christmas fast approaching, I've made a few changes to the coffee house around
You're good,
me.
Michael.
And so with that said, I hope
Gotta
you
go,
don't
you gotta
mind
go.
the festive decor. And of course, just to let you know that I post true crime and strange cases here weekly. So if that is your sort of
She does
thing,
have boobs,
please
you're
consider
right.
subscribing to Coffee
Yo,
House
yo, chat. Shades has a point. She has some boobs though. I did notice that.
Crime. Now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive.
X.
This is the case of Abigail White.
The morning. I'll be back in the morning. Oops.
Well, this island sure seems familiar. Welcome back to the United Kingdom, folks, and more specifically, the city of Bristol.
Bro, it looks so boring and icky. Was cute though. Yeah, rip. Uba la vida. Dude, I would hate to live in Europe. It's always so gloomy looking.
If ever there was a place with a story to tell, it is this one right here. Enveloped in the hills of southwest
Looks
England,
dumb.
it has its own unmistakable
Aw.
identity, carved out by passionate locals and devoted fans alike.
The cookies
Straddling the River Avon, the port city is now a cultural hub that serves as a major stakeholder in the manufacturing and financial industry, as well as being home to many university students
I guess it looks a little better from this angle. Yeah, it looks just like eh.
and a massively diverse range of people from various walks of life. The aerospace industry remains as an essential sector of the local
Isn't
economy.
it cold
where
there?
many
Yeah, fuck cold. How the houses are built in America scare me. Looks like aliens build it. Bro, Diesel, listen. We know how to build houses in America. Trust me, alright? We can build some buildings.
companies such as BAE Systems, Rolls-Royce and Airbus operate.
You ever heard of the Alamo?
Interesting fact, but Bristol is the only big city whose wealth per
Coming
capita
back,
is
I
higher
think Europe
than
is
that of Britain
inconvenient
as a
as
whole,
fuck. That's
and
what I'm
with a highly skilled
saying.
workforce drawn
That's what my sister. My sister lives in Germany. That's what she be saying too. No, we don't. I don't like the cold.
from
I
its
fucking hate it.
universities. Bristol claims to have the largest cluster of
time.
computer chip designers and manufacturers outside of Silicon Valley. Like the people of many other major cities and towns across the UK, the residents of Bristol fall into a very similar pattern of quintessentially British behaviour. We all love our
Drinking tea, eating biscuits, and long live the Queen. Whoops. Your sister served. Her husband's in the Air Force. But she works on the Air Force base, isn't it? I don't really understand it. The hell, they houses.
tea and scones, sport a very firm
Sorry,
handshake,
Ezra.
and love to complain about many things,
couldn't help
such as
it.
our economy, the weather, and of course bad traffic.
Thank God for that. I bet they're old. I bet they're old. They're old!
But Bristolians are also known to be more friendly than the national average,
Ramsey Air Base?
which isn't that difficult.
I
to be
honestly
brutally
don't
honest,
fucking know.
as we all seem to be rather stoic here. But this sociable and chipper
ask.
characteristic can also be used to describe the
Me and my sister aren't super close.
first subject of today's case. And his name is Bradley Lewis.
I haven't seen my sister in like 2
Born in
years.
March 2000 to a loving family, Bradley grew up
then
near
on the
Bristol.
bone.
And his father Steve and mother Rachel were generous folks who prioritised family over all else. Now, like many kids in England, the young and cheerful Bradley was obsessed with football. And
It's soccer. Listen, who did we beat? England, UK? I don't know the fuck they call their team. Sorry to hear that. No, it's not a big. Like what? Like, bro, we beat you guys. I know we didn't win. I know it was 0-0 in the World Cup, but it's soccer now.
And while attending St. Stephen's Junior School, he
Old
played
as
for his
hell.
local junior
How old are
club.
you? I'm
After
20.
finishing school, Bradley took on an apprenticeship as a floor layer in his late teenage years. He was a much-loved young man with a fantastic personality, and
Sorry, I didn't mean to cough in your ear. He looks cool.
his large number of friends reflected on this fact. He was exactly what you'd expect from any young British lad, and that is that he loved his mates, enjoyed goofing around, and could often be found partying. It was at
You could often find him at the pub.
the age of 14 that he caught the eyes of a girl 1 year his senior. Her name was Abigail White, and after getting
You're
to know
19 or
him,
20.
she developed a crush on the boy.
Thank you.
And fast forward 2 years later, the two teens began to date. But Abigail wasn't quite the same as Bradley, and this was partly due to her difficult childhood. When she was only 2 years old, her father began to violently beat her mother.
Jesus.
Things didn't get better after this. When she was only 4 years old, her mother and father split up, and then when her new stepfather stepped in, he would start to physically abuse her directly.
Oh, damn.
Eventually, she was taken into foster care. Although she then lived safely with her grandparents, her education seemed to be disrupted by her bad behaviour, and she was often excluded from school. And you can maybe predict where this is going, but unfortunately, after developing several mental and emotional issues,
She made OnlyFans.
she was then prescribed antidepressants
Oh.
at the young age of 13.
Oops.
Moving into her adult years, Abigail's life never normalised. She never sought or obtained a regular job, and instead took up work as a self-employed creator in the lucrative world of OnlyFans.
Let's
Now,
go!
OnlyFans is an internet content subscription
OnlyFans.
service that allows creators to share whatever kind of images they like with their paying fans. And whilst
Mostly
it can be used for
nudies.
numerous different purposes by a variety of creators, it is infamous for being host to a very large number of sex
Damn, you
workers.
just
And you can
suck.
also likely guess what sort of content Abigail chose to engage in.
Guys, you got. Never mind. I was gonna say it's fucked up. I was gonna say, do you guys think her OnlyFans is still up? Like, you go look at her content, like a murderer naked. It's still right. Yeah, in theory. I mean, I missed a couple steps. How many beers? Knowing that she might murder me? Probably about 6. Actually, no, bro. She's got those British eyebrows. The chav. Hey, yo. Chav check. You guys remember that?
That's all I need, yeah. Baby, you're all I need, yeah. You're my G.
That's a chav chat. Know the eyebrows, lol.
Hey yo, chav chat,
Have a little faith in me, yeah. It's all
chav chat.
Look at these
have a little
chavs.
faith in me, yeah. It's all I need, yeah. Baby, you're all I need, yeah.
This is a British chav, by the way. He was a chav. Ayo. Check.
Dubbing herself the fake Barbie girl, Abigail White, who went by the online name of
OMG.
Mitzi Lewis, began to post content of herself pertaining to the world of adult
On
entertainment.
my way to a dick appointment with my very lucky man. Only 7 likes? Come on, bitch. You posting OnlyFans content, you're supposed to get hella likes, bruh. Even old Senpai gets more likes than that. What's the divining feature of a chav? Probably thick fake eyebrows and over-the-top makeup. And then being British at the same time.
Now, at first, her jump into the world of OnlyFans was a well-paid one, and in the first year alone, Mitzi made just over $50,000
Wait, her actual name is Mitzi?
or
Right.
$60,000. But this wouldn't last, and as the
Mitzi?
years slipped by,
Hey,
irrelevant
bruh. If you beat your meat to a bitch named Mitzi, that's an L. I'm sorry. We got any Mitzies in chat? I ain't never coming to no bitch named Mitzi. I'm sorry. Fuck that shit.
in the increasingly competitive
E.
industry
Your name is not Mitzi. Get the fuck out of here.
began to decrease, losing around 75% of her audience and
Weasel.
revenue to a mere £12,000 a year. Although this wasn't enough to financially support her, Abigail was luckily able to fall back on Bradley and his income, which was crucial as now they had 4 young mouths to feed,
4? Christ.
3 of which were
Legend.
his own. But much like her
Damn.
income stream, things were not stable at home either.
Oh, dude. Can't wait to have a little kid. Can't wait to find a girl to settle down with and have a baby.
Abigail
Man.
was known to dabble with cocaine, and although
Just dabble. No big deal. Just dabbling. Oh.
she claimed not to be alcohol dependent, she would often take things way too far with it.
Hey, yo. Shove check. Something about her seems a little off.
Real
I'll be a good
mother of the year
aunt.
material
Oh, you'll be the
right
best.
here. And unfortunately, the relationship between her and Bradley was often a turbulent one at best.
She looks
And
like
in
she kind of looks like she's holding a bag of mulch under her shirt. And like she's like tucking into her pants and it's also under her shirt. You know what I'm saying?
too far with it. Real
see the
mother of the year
dude?
material right here.
Bro!
And unfortunately, the relationship between
Not
her
in
and
here,
Bradley was
Shades.
often a turbulent one.
We
at
don't
best.
speculate
And
on
in her
people's
own
genders
words,
here.
They were in a very tough and controlling relationship.
Oh, hurts my finger.
While she claimed that he was manipulative and unfaithful, she also admitted
God,
that she had
I
slept
am.
with multiple other men throughout their time together. Which kind of makes sense, because if the two are together since she was 15 years old, and only 3 of her kids were his, then I don't know how else you'd explain
That
the
makes
4th one.
sense. If only 3 of the kids are his, and she has 1 that's from another father, it must mean she had sex with that guy.
Many friends claimed that the relationship was toxic
Yes.
and possessive,
Yeah,
and
am I doing
even
good?
warned Bradley that Abigail was a complete psycho. Bradley's
This
mother
guy's
resented
psycho.
her too, as she knew
I
that
love
her son
psycho
wasn't
women.
being treated correctly and
My
deserved
favy.
much better. There
My
even came a
bad.
time when concerns became so
Bad.
strong that the social
Bad.
services stepped into the family
Diesel, get the spray bottle. You can tell. Great.
household
You can
and
tell
demanded
what?
that Abigail was no longer allowed to live with Bradley, which was a good precaution to take, but unfortunately was a rule that was often
Yo, Bradley already looks kind of dead. Fuck, Chad, that was fucked. That was fucked. I'm sorry.
disregarded. You see, although Bradley moved out to live with his mother, Abigail no
great
longer
on
trusted
nothing.
him when
Say
he was
it.
away from her. And with thanks to
Empty
her
chest.
controlling personality, she often manipulated Bradley into
Thank
coming
you.
over and
Yeah.
sleeping with her most nights.
Yeah.
Stepping into more of the cringy stuff, but Abigail was also nauseatingly egotistical. And despite most of her social media accounts now being deleted, her currently still viewable TikTok account portrays
What? She has a TikTok account? What was her name? Why cheat on me when we can fuck her together and make her walk home? Christ.
most of her social media accounts now being deleted. Her currently still viewable TikTok account portrays the image of a young mother who takes no account of her actions, and instead makes public posts
When your
self-resentment
man pisses you off, so you report him to the G. Not the crazy girl.
and negativity, as well as fishing for attention from potential subscribers of her OnlyFans account. In one of these videos, Abigail played
Told
the
him I was going out
notification
for a
sound
jog.
from Tinder, one of the world's most popular dating apps, to see if it would get a rise out of Bradley, which, if you ask me, is quite a shit thing to do. And although some of the social media posts revealed a glimpse of the
I wanna
cold and
watch
ugly
her
truth behind
TikToks.
closed doors,
Her TikToks.
she would still try to portray the image of a perfect couple to others. And that is certainly worth highlighting here.
Why do
as
couples do that? Like, why is it so important to some people to like portray like a perfect relationship on social? And there's so many like people's relationships are like they're so obsessed, like they're so unhappy, but like they're so obsessed with keeping that picture perfect image of their relationship on social media. Like, I don't get why. I don't understand. Like, what do they gain?
In the artificial and misleading world of social media, you can never be
guess
sure of what
likes,
is happening behind the
validation,
careful doctored lens of
Pathetic things that
superficial happiness.
people like us can't understand.
Abigail
We're
also
above
used her
that.
social media accounts to intimidate people she argued
Oh damn! Them eyebrows are more distracting than her tits. Can't decide which ones are bigger. The clout, or maybe it's those lip fillers. Jesus, pick a struggle.
with, while also publicly belittling Bradley online.
Because you think like
You saying I'm fat?
Not at all, but you said it's
Are you
made for
saying
an
I'm
error.
fat?
When it came to personal friendship,
She's a chop. Perception is reality for some. Dude, Shades is like so high, and I was like, dude, perception is reality for dreaming.
and relationships, he was often slagged off and criticized.
Slagged
And,
off.
of course,
I thought slagged off mean to get your fucking dick jerks.
if we're
Let me
talking about
stop, I
personal
can't.
messages, then came the infamous voice
for 6 more
recording to a
hours.
friend.
5 more hours.
I can't believe a word that comes out of that boy's mouth. I have to beat the living daylight out of him for him to tell me the truth, and he still don't tell me the truth. He only tells me the truth when he thinks I'm gonna kill him.
Thank
Like
you,
when I
Lisa.
get a knife out, like when I stab him, like, oh, I just don't get this kid. But obviously, I have no limit when I get angry, and like obviously he said that I need help with that because people are generally saying to me, one of you are gonna end up dead.
What? Well, you know how bad it is when like your friends and family are like, yo, when you guys are gonna end up dead, you should probably separate. Holy fuck.
Like, and I fully
Listen, chat. Maybe I need to stop messing with crazy girls, because maybe I'll end up one day, I'll find one, I'll say, oh, I like crazy girls, and she's like, I'm crazy. And she might be this fucking crazy and kill me. How's she saying this so nonchalantly? Because she's crazy. Bro, she said that before.
Believe that I'm quite capable of killing him if he
Jesus.
hurts me again. Or I'm gonna end up being in prison.
Leading
was
up to
right.
the actual crime of our case today, it
The
was in the early
foreshadowing.
months of 2021 that the relationship between Abigail and Bradley came to an all-new volatile height. To begin with
Wild.
was the voice recording, but on March the 19th, after quite a bad argument, Abigail took it one step further by actually stabbing him in the arm. Obviously, this caused a
Christ.
massive wound and required medical treatment, but Bradley was a gentle soul and he didn't want to get Abigail in trouble.
What?
So when the doctor asked what happened,
I mean, that's the mother of his kids. It's such a hard situation. Like, the outside, like, yeah, report it to the police, but at the same time, fuck. That's wild. When you're in that abusive relationship and you're like stuck in that abusive cycle, I know from the outside looking in, it's hard to be like, oh, I would report that. I would have done. Like when you're in that abusive cycle and you're a victim of abuse, or maybe Bradley wasn't all a victim. Maybe he was like part of the toxicity too. Like you just don't see it, you don't understand it. It's like your weakness, and you don't see it until you're out of it. Like I was in like a toxic relationship, and while I was in it, people would say stuff. I'm like, no, like whatever. Like I don't want to get her in trouble. I don't want to make her look bad. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. And I wouldn't let anyone tell me any different. And then after I got out of it, I was like, I would look back and I was like, dude, everyone was right. You don't see it until after. It's so weird how the mind does that. It's like the mind wants you to be with that person. The mind wants you to love that person. The mind wants you to care about that person and like help them. And like your mind hopes they'll get better and sees the chance of them getting better. But like in reality, like they're fucked.
he covered for her
Oh,
and said
bro.
it was an accident at work. And although you'd expect, or at least
An
hope, that
accident?
he'd leave her after this encounter, Bradley unfortunately didn't. He felt confined to the relationship because of the children he shared with her. And all
Damn,
of this was
true.
despite social services recommending they stay away from each other. Friends and family also urged the two to take some time apart, and those close to them claimed that Abigail was going mad and desperately needed help. And on March the 25th, after all of the warnings, the concerning messages, and the voice notes, the violent relationship would finally reach a brutal and irreversible climax.
Holy shit. I wonder if she calls the police on herself, turns herself in, or what? How is this about to go
March
down?
25th, 2021. It was 8 p.m, and being a Thursday, most families were calmly settling in for the evening. But
Imagine
for the White
murdering
Lewis
someone.
family,
Actually,
the
like,
atmosphere
taking
was
someone's
very
life from them.
different. At 8:10 p.m, a distressed scream erupted from the home, and that scream was coming from Abigail. The first person to respond was
Oh,
a
did she
neighbor
try to fake it? Did she try to get away with it? Like she doesn't know what happened?
named Mrs. Cundy. Abigail shouted out to say, "Help, I can't get through. Can someone call the emergency services? He's not breathing." And after running next door, she was met with a harrowing scene. Bradley was lying on his back in the kitchen, with his blood covering the hallway and the living room, and a blood-stained knife lay on the radiator.
Yeah, like
In a
she's not
state
gonna
of
get
panic
caught.
and shock, Mrs. Cundy dialed 999 immediately. Mrs. Cundy's
Oh,
husband
it's not
arrived-
911 there too? Damn, I thought it was 911 everywhere. 999? Oh, it sounds like shit over there.
just before
911
authorities did,
cooler.
and then as the paramedics arrived, they commenced medical treatment on Brad. Bloodstains were found throughout the ground floor of the property, and to add to this, they also found a t-shirt, a mop, and several other items of clothing all covered in blood. Abigail was acting as if she was utterly terrified,
Bro, people
and
are
she
so-
claimed that Bradley had stabbed
I watched every single episode of Forensic Files. People are so bad at cleaning up after murders.
himself in protest after a heated argument.
They're
But officers
some
were not
wild
sold
shit.
on this idea.
Like
as
they never know how to clean up. They never know how to do it. Like they always fuck it up. Like this is like so botched already. You didn't even really try.
it made no sense as to why Bradley would do such a thing. So, although she was allowed to travel with him to the hospital, they kept a very watchful eye on her. But tragically, even after being rushed into surgery, there was simply nothing they could do to save his life. Bradley had simply lost too
What
much
if he survived and he came out and was like, "Bitch, I know you stabbed me." Like, fuck.
blood, and at 1:30 a.m, he was pronounced dead. Bradley's family were notified when officers arrived on their doorstep, and when they received the devastating news, their world shattered around them. But although Bradley's death was conclusive and final, many questions still remained, all of which now had to be found
That's
through the
sad.
chaotic and confusing fog of the known. A post-mortem examination of Bradley's body concluded that the cause of his death was a single stab wound to the chest, which then penetrated his thoracic cavity by
Convert
slicing.
again if he survived. Fuck, we probably wouldn't be able to at this point. Being stabbed. Dude, that's crazy. So another thing is, and I learned this. Cool. You know actually how hard it is to stab through someone's chest? Like, you gotta be on some crazy psycho, I want to murder you, like adrenaline pumping, primal rage type shit. To fucking, while someone's moving and trying to avoid you, actually stab and penetrate through someone's chest. You know what I mean? Like with like a kitchen knife.
Through a gap between his ribs and ultimately into his heart. But
Damn.
that wasn't the only thing authorities had learned.
Standing
As
right in the
witness
heart.
reports indicated
Holy
that
fuck.
Bradley's and Abigail's relationship had recently become exceptionally turbulent. Several friends had come forward to report that, allegedly, shortly before his death, Bradley had admitted to having an affair. This apparently angered Abigail greatly.
He's a cheater, chat. How do we feel about killing cheaters?
And so, with that said, they decided to formally arrest her on suspicion of murder. During her interrogation, Abigail decided not to answer any questions, and instead she handed officers a formal statement made by her and her solicitor.
Like a lawyer.
He told officers that Bradley was off, so in response,
did it for
grabbed
him.
the knife off of him to then throw outside. She then ran down the hallway with a knife in her hands,
That's
but
tough.
Bradley was able to catch up with her, and when he did, he then grabbed her wrist and plunged the knife into his chest.
What? This is the story they're going with? Okay. Bro, okay.
Now, obviously, this was a very weak story, and nobody believed her. And several weeks later, Abigail knew that too. So, 2 months after his death, she finally accepted manslaughter charges. With Abigail now taking partial accountability over Bradley's death, the next big question was, what exactly happened to them
A
on the
crime
night
of
that he
passion.
died? And what were her motives? Well, it all started...
She was pissed. She was pissed he was cheating and she was batshit crazy. End of video.
in the afternoon. Reminiscing over the recent months of his relationship, and with Abigail stabbing him in the arm just 1 week prior, Bradley realized that he no longer
Bro, I've
wanted
been
to be
so pissed she stabbed me in my arm. You know why? Because I'm covered in tattoos and I have if she stabbed me deep enough, I'd have a scar and it'd ruin my tattoos. Should be enough for a simple conversion.
in a relationship with her.
Listen,
With his resolve
I think what the biggest thing that should have happened was don't talk to women, don't look at women, stay away from women. Women are the pinnacle of evil.
in mind, he asked her to
Be
meet him in
gay.
a public park,
It's
and
based.
once she arrived, Abigail was enraged to
drama.
hear his decision. Shortly after 5 PM, surveillance cameras captured Bradley, Abigail, and her friends Ryan and Louise arriving at the Horseshoe pub. Shortly after this, they then made their way to the pub's beer garden. Unknown to the others at the time, but Abigail had snorted a line of cocaine just a few minutes prior.
Bruh, she loved coke.
And to make things worse, she
I'm in love with the cocoa.
was now mixing it with alcoholic drinks.
Got it for the
Abigail was
low, low.
obviously in a difficult mood, acting both short-tempered and angrily, was causing trouble with other
Wow,
people,
wow, wow, wow,
and
wow,
got
wow.
into several arguments with other punters. During this time, a friend had found Bradley
Think
crying in
smart.
the gents' bathroom,
I've tried that
and after
before.
asking him what the problem was,
Not great at
Bradley
it.
said that he had to get away from Abigail. He admitted that he was scared of
Boob.
her, but unfortunately he couldn't leave either, because he believed that she would try to take her own life again. Unfortunately, Abigail's mild
Bro, I've had that shit threatened against me too, bro. People threaten to kill themselves if I leave them, or threaten to kill themselves if I do this. I'm like, ugh. Don't tempt me. I'll definitely do it if that's on the table. Like, sure about that, because we could have that arranged.
aggression escalated throughout
Don't
the
test me
evening
with that
to almost
shit.
uncontrollable levels.
Oh.
She eventually
Oh,
slapped a man
oh,
she had gotten into an argument with. This resulted in him striking her back. Abigail fell to the ground before being escorted away.
Damn, she got her
The
ass beat.
conflict seemed to rile her, as soon after this, punters witnessed her grabbing Bradley's drink out of his hands and throwing it into his face. Allegedly, she was furious that he didn't stand up against the man who hit
Like,
her.
I don't like
Getting
that.
upset, Bradley told her to calm
fucking
down while a
toxic.
friend pushed the two apart. Now, clearly Abigail had had enough, and she wanted to go home and be alone with Bradley. His friend told her to stop bullying him, to which, in response, she spat in the friend's face.
Damn,
It was
this
in
bitch
this
is
moment
evil.
at 7:50 PM that a mutual friend, Alfie, offered to give them a lift back home. The two accepted his offer, and it's reported that the couple...
You guys think that she thought about killing him on the way home? I mean, obviously she thought about it before in that phone call.
argued the entire way back. Once they arrived at the property,
Jeff.
Abigail stormed inside while Bradley said goodbye, in which one of the last things he said to Alfie was, "I'm dead when I get home."
Oh my god.
Alfie was concerned. The situation felt distinctly sinister. He therefore decided to give Bradley his mobile phone number, just in case he needed him. He then said his goodbyes,
The telly.
and not even 20 minutes later, emergency services were called.
Holy
As
fuck,
mentioned
20 minutes?
before, although
Bro, she went in the house and got ready with the knife?
Abigail pleaded guilty to manslaughter charges, she refused to take full accountability, and refused to plead guilty to murder. However, as investigators dug deeper into the case, they found a mountain of concerning information which ruled against her own theories. For example, after combing through Bradley's phone, data analysts found hundreds of threatening messages sent by Abigail in the months prior. On February the 7th, which was 1 month before his death, Abigail sent Bradley a message to say, "I swear to God, I'll stab you."
Bro, she's snitching on herself. Bro, you swearing to God? Okay.
Another message sent just a few weeks prior said, "I'm going to stab you in the fucking neck." Now, to be honest with you,
Holy
Abigail was
fuck.
completely unhinged, and to those who warned
Yeah,
Bradley
no
that she was
joke.
a psycho, they were not far off the ball. In some of these text messages, she even threatened to kill Bradley's mother in front of him, and just 6 days before his death, she made several Google searches related to stabbing. Moving into
What the fuck? Google searches relating to stabbing? What do you even Google? Stabbing. Stabby. What to do when I feel stabby? What the fuck? What? I know these.
trial phase of this case, Abigail White was medically examined by several professional psychiatrists, and the results were very interesting to say the least. Dr. Sanya Kriez, a clinical psychologist, concluded that Abigail was so poor at controlling her anger
How to
that
stab.
99% of the rest of the population would be more able to successfully do it than her.
Damn.
She also concluded that Abigail had a very poor coping strategy.
How'd she even make it this far in life? Oh, WikiHow. How the fuck did she make it this far in life if she can't, if 99.9% of the other population, the rest of the population of the world could control their anger better than she can? How the fuck she not killed someone sooner? Needs help? Bro, she's in jail.
Strategy for controlling her anger,
There's
and
no
had
help
a
for it.
condition that meant, when roused, the rational thinking part of her brain shut down. Dr. Bradley Hiller, a consultant forensic psychiatrist, told the jury that Abigail appears to suffer from borderline personality disorder, a mental health
Damn.
condition that affects mood stability, causing rapid and extreme swings in mood, with sometimes small or even non-existent triggers.
It's kind of non-existent triggers. Hey, bro, a lot of females be having non-existent triggers, just saying. But listen, bro, what? That's so crazy how different humans are. Like, there's you and I who can handle relationships, toxic relationships fine. There are other people, literally, the part of her brain that creates reason shuts off when she gets mad, is what doctor said. You needed it again? Needed it then? I agree.
He added that her account of what happened that fateful night
God
was
damn.
consistent with her having the disorder, with additional traits that
Understand
affected
most
her
women.
emotional stability.
Facts.
Another consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Sanford, conceded that in the days before the incident, Abigail
What do
had
you
been
think?
experiencing extreme stress due to various external factors, which included an induced abortion, Bradley admitting that he had been unfaithful, and claiming that he was
Christ.
going to leave her. He also concluded that the manifestations of her personality disorder could be heightened as a result, and that she had difficulty controlling her emotions and struggled to control her anger. But it was confirmed that she did not exhibit signs of delusions,
Wow.
hallucinations, or other symptoms consistent with psychosis, and that she had never
Can't
been
control
a
her
mental health
anger.
patient. Now, Abigail did acknowledge that she had a very tough and controlling relationship with Bradley, but she would also claim that he
Jesus.
was the manipulative one, and that he was frequently sleeping with other women behind her back. Bradley isn't here to defend himself against these
Damn,
claims,
she's still shitting
and
on Brad.
therefore, they are best taken with a hefty pinch of salt. And although
It
she
doesn't
cla-
even matter. None of that shit even matters, bro. You don't kill people. The fuck? Unless you're...
claimed that he was just as violent as
I'm
she
fucking
was.
Kira.
The only solid evidence of violence between the two was
I
the
only kill
stab
bad
wound to
guys,
his
chat, don't
arm,
worry.
and his subsequent death just 1 week later. And it seems that her excuses, lies, and supposed justifications were not enough to persuade the jury either. And after 12 hours of deliberation, they came back with a unanimous verdict. Abigail White was guilty of the murder of Bradley Lewis. As a result, under UK law, Abigail was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 18 years before she could be eligible for parole. This means that, at the very earliest, she may be free in October of 2039. However, she is likely to remain behind bars for much longer after this.
That's terrifying.
In relation to her sentence, the judge
Imagine when it's
remarked,
2039,
"These messages
Judd.
make for a chilling reading, and you demanded almost constant attention. Messages show that when he did not do what you wanted, you became increasingly volatile, and in my judgment, at the time that you stabbed him, you did intend to kill him. You had threatened to do this many times." During her trial, Abigail said that she didn't lie about the stabbing to protect herself, but rather instead because she was scared of what might happen to her. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I'm not mistaken, that is the exact same thing. She further told the courtroom, "I was worried about what was going to happen to me, to Brad and the family. I just wish I'd told the truth from the beginning. It just happened." Bradley's father shared that losing him was the hardest thing he had ever experienced in his life, such as the overwhelming sense of both grief and pain. And Bradley's mum, Rachel, stated that part of her world ended when police told her that Bradley had died, and that the loss will be with her for the rest of her life. Bradley was well known and appreciated by almost everyone. That is, everyone except the one person who he should have been able to trust above all others.
True.
And now, not only will his children never know life with a father anymore, but they will grow up knowing that it was their mother who murdered him.
Damn.
Bradley's death brought so much sadness to his family and the many people who knew him, and the hundreds of people who attended his funeral showed ample proof of this. In honour of his life, family and friends from his years at Bristol Rovers Supporters Football Club played a friendly football match against Hallen FC. Not only did hundreds of people sign up to watch the event, but more than £7,000 was raised for his funeral, with the remaining donations going towards Mind, a men's mental health charity. On Friday the 20th of May 2021, Bradley Lewis was cremated at Westerly Crematorium. During this service, one of the football managers that used to train with him when he was a child said, "He was one of the nicest kids you could ever meet." Sometimes people say that without actually meaning it, but with Brad, it was genuine. He was very placid, amicable and polite, just one of the good guys in life, like his dad. He will be desperately missed by the many that knew him. Coupled with a very unhealthy mental state.
Here's something else I'd be wondering. Why do all these fucking people, like I have friends and there's many people, how they be having kids when they're so young? Like, can they not pull out? Can they not get on birth control? Can they not buy Plan B? They have so many fucking, I don't think they want the kids, but like everyone be getting pregnant so early.
Was allowed to deteriorate over a prolonged
period of time. How you having a kid?
Abigail lost sight of what she had, a loving family, which is something that many would give anything for. By no means were things perfect, including Bradley and his own actions, but it's clear through those around him that he devoted everything he could towards his family.
Bro, I know.
He was a loving father who genuinely tried to make things work over a prolonged period of time.
That's why I don't
while simultaneously being scared of Abigail.
Irresponsible sex.
She abused that fear. And abuse
responsible
is
sex
an understatement. Not only did she take this man for granted, but she even threatened to take his life and wounded him when he didn't comply. The warning signs were there for months, and nasty arguments and voice notes aside, she'd even stabbed him just 1 week prior. But again, and it is worth mentioning, that the man felt trapped in the relationship. Although he wanted to leave her and her evil, unhinged clutches, he felt like he couldn't because the two shared children. And eventually, her evil threats became a vicious reality. I'm closing this case up here, folks. Unfortunately, this one has no silver lining.
Damn.
All I hope is that, moving forward, Bradley's family and friends find peace in the future, and that Bradley's children find a happy and fulfilling life in memory of their father. But thank you so much for watching another video today by Coffeehouse Crime. If you found this case interesting or insightful, then
it was interesting and insightful. Thank you for your video. Better than paradise.
Is this